Israeli troops deployed to a newly established security corridor across southern Gaza. The new Morag Corridor cuts off the southern city of Rafah from the rest of Gaza. Israel hopes that doing so will put pressure on the Hamas to release the remaining hostages. Ragini Sudhir Chaure reports on how Gaza's geography and its people's future is being redrawn one corridor at a time.
Last night in the Gaza Strip, we switched gears. The IDF is seizing territory, striking the terrorists and destroying the infrastructure. We are also doing something else. We are seizing the Morag Corridor.
Within 2 weeks of Netanyahu making the announcement, Hamas was singing a different tune.
Movement is ready to immediately negotiate a deal to swap all hostages with an agreed number of Palestinians jailed by Israel, to end completely the war against our people, and to fully withdraw from Gaza Strip and to start the reconstruction in Gaza.
Why did its Gaza chief Khalil Al-Hayya make a televised statement on 17th of April, calling for talks on a possible deal to end the war? What made Hamas change its mind? And why now? The answer lies in the capture of the Morag Corridor, also known as Morag Access, by Israeli forces. The Morag Corridor is an Israeli security corridor in the southern Gaza Strip. Netanyahu announced the establishment of the new corridor on 2nd of April. By the 12th, Israel had fully taken over the tiny sliver of land. It is named after a former Jewish community of Morag that once existed between Rafah and Khan Yunis. This Jewish settlement was established in 1972 after the Israeli forces took over Gaza in 1967. It was one of a number of Israeli communities built in Gaza that were dismantled in 2005 during the Israeli disengagement from the enclave. The Morag Corridor now cuts through the southern part of Gaza between Rafah and Khan Yunis. It effectively seals off southern Gaza city of Rafah from the rest of the Palestinian enclave. It creates a third Israeli-controlled axis, dividing sections of Gaza. It joins two other key military checkpoints: the Philadelphia Corridor along the Egyptian border, that Israeli forces seized the Philadelphia Corridor last year, and the Netzarim Corridor that cuts off northern Gaza. The Netzarim Corridor was taken over by Israel in 2023 and held until the January 2025 ceasefire. Israel then retook part of Netzarim Corridor in March when its forces began a new operation. Together, these moves signal something far more comprehensive than a mere tactical advance. More than 50% of Gaza is now effectively under Israeli control. Netanyahu says that the establishment of the Morag Corridor is intended to increase the pressure on Hamas to release remaining hostages and surrender control of the territory.
This will be the second Philadelphia and additional Philadelphia corridor, because we are now dividing the strip and increasing pressure step by step so that they will give us our hostages. And as long as they do not give them to us, the pressure will increase until they do. We are determined to achieve the objective of the war, and we are acting relentlessly and with a clear line and a clear mission. And with God's help and that of our heroic soldiers, we will also achieve them.
On 12th of April, Israeli forces completed the encirclement of Rafah as part of an announced plan to seize more areas of the enclave, accompanied by large-scale evacuations of the population. Footage released by the Israeli army along with the statement purported to show a brigade of troops marching past rubble and entering empty buildings in Rafah. The Israeli military has issued repeated evacuation warnings to hundreds of thousands of Palestinians across Rafah since it resumed operations in Gaza on 18th of March, forcing them into a diminishing space limited by the sea. Rafah, once considered a relative refuge for over 1 million displaced Palestinians, may now be the next epicenter of Israel's ongoing ground operations. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz has announced plans to expand military activity across most of Gaza, but the statement gave no indication of where the Palestinians, who have already been displaced many times, are expected to go. Instead, it calls on civilians to remove Hamas from power and release the remaining hostages, suggesting that this and only this could stop the war. Palestinian officials call this a breach of international legitimacy. Human rights groups are raising the alarm, accusing Israel of using starvation as a weapon of war. For more than a month, Gaza has endured a blockade on food, fuel, and humanitarian aid. Aid agencies dispute the Israeli claims that sufficient provisions entered the area during a brief 2-month ceasefire. Meanwhile, supplies are running dry.
But it is for a legal reference to say and describe exactly what does that mean. Because according to that, there will be accountability for those perpetrators of this crime. For sure, it is a crime. In any legal law, even civil law, a crime means punishment. Why not in such crimes?
This strategic tightening, coupled with a growing buffer zone, appears aimed not just at Hamas, but at reshaping the geography of Gaza itself. According to a report published by the Haaretz newspaper, Israel's military is pushing to annex Rafah into an expanded buffer zone. This 75 square kilometer area would wipe out any possibility of the return of civilians, a move that the paper warns could amount to the erasure of Rafah as a city. What's unfolding mirrors a previous strategy seen in northern Gaza, dubbed the General's Plan. That operation razed entire districts and forcibly emptied towns. Now, the same blueprint seems to be playing out in the south, one neighborhood at a time. Human rights groups say that any proposal encouraging the Palestinians to voluntarily relocate to other countries, as mentioned by Minister Katz, aligns with what they describe as ethnic cleansing, which is the forced removal of a population from their homeland. The war has taken a human toll on both sides. Gaza's health ministry reports that more than 50,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, have died since the war began. Israel, on the other hand, claims to have eliminated 20,000 militants, but has offered little public evidence of it. Pressure is mounting inside Israel as well. The families of the remaining 59 hostages, including 24 believed to be alive, are demanding swift negotiations. A newly released video of a US-Israeli hostage, Edan Alexander, has added to the public outcry. The war, which began with the 7th of October 2023 attacks by Hamas in Israel, has killed 1,200 Israelis. But as Israel's operations deepen, the line between counterterrorism and collective punishment grows increasingly blurred. The question remains. With no clear safe zone, dwindling resources, and no ceasefire in sight, when can Gaza's civilians go? The landscape is changing, not just militarily, but existentially. What remains of Gaza's geography and its people's future is now being redrawn, one corridor at a time. Ragini Sudhir Chore for DD India.